Sunday or something. Can you hear me now? Everyone's welcome. Thank you for being here. Use the program to follow along. Participate as you're comfortable. We're so glad you're here. We have several announcements this morning. Oh, up by the microphone.
Okay. The progressive dinner has become even more progressive. We modified our format, and we are going to be just doing hors d'oeuvres in the annex, and the progressing to the basement for dessert. So all are welcome. The sign-up sheet you can put your name, and it's from 6 to 8 on Sunday, the 1st of May. And you can sign up your name and an idea of what you might bring for an hors d'oeuvre, just so we don't have 10 things of meatballs, you know. So if you can do that, you're just going to progress from the annex to here. So it's kind of a different format, a shorter format, and you don't have to use a lot of gas to go from place to place. Okay? And then, another announcement is the Schlott Women's Club is sponsoring, I don't know if we're sponsoring, but we're having at Culver's on Tuesday from 5 to 8. If you eat dinner there or get a dinner out there, they will give 10% back to the Women's Club. So if you... At Culver's. So anything you eat there, they'll give 10% of your meal back to the Women's Club, which we use to do things all around Charlotte, like all the urns down Main Streets. Women clubs are the ones that do all that. They plan it, they pay for that. So if you would like to do that, this Tuesday from 5 to 8, okay? And this will be in the lounge after church, so you can just sign up there.
It's all about the eating. It's all about the food. By the way, I get chips and salsa on there first. No one else. I get chips and salsa. Hummus. We got hummus up here. It's going to be lots of good eats. Bulletin corrections. The lilies are from Shirley Ripley, but the floral arrangement is not. If you provided the arrangement and would like to be acknowledged, please include it on the paper, the little prayer paper in the bulletin, the program, and send it forward. We'll make sure you get acknowledged. Journaling the journey. The art team invites you to join them as they begin to do Bible journaling and dive deeper into seeing Jesus in the scriptures. They're going to be starting with Matthew 1:1 and express the truth that impacts you through visual form, a word, art, poem, prayer. Take time to think, pray, and meditate on the scriptures. It can help us to spend more time with Jesus. We'll share our experiences in person and on Zoom Monday afternoon, April 25th from 1 to 2 p.m. See Sandra Field. Raise your hand, Sandra. There she is. See Sandra if you're interested in the Zoom or the in-person opportunity. There was one other bulletin correction. Sharon's prepped to say it, but I'm going to say it now just because I'm thinking about it. 233 instead of 223 is the first hymn that we'll be singing. Other announcements. There's a lot going on in this church. I invite you to look through your program, talk to the people you're sitting with, hear about all the things. Oh, an announcement.
Easter dinner, 11:30, drive-through.
Easter dinner, 11:30, drive-through. Prayer notices come to me. They go on the little sheet that's in your program.
That's the flowers announcement.
Thank you. Oh. Okay, we're just going to do announcements all morning. Flowers are given in love from Peggy, Larry, and Taylor. Happy Easter. Thank you, Peggy, Larry, and Taylor. Whew, let's take a deep breath. It's good to be together this morning. I invite you to join with me as we are welcomed into this space using the words printed in your program. Christ is risen. Christ is risen indeed.
On this Sunday, we acknowledge the victory of life over death. We sing and celebrate because death has lost its sting.
may be seated. I'm going to invite the young people, the short people, the people like me, to come up if they want to, if they feel comfortable. Children of all ages, you're welcome to come up and find a seat. We have a story this morning. Good morning. Happy Easter. Hi. Good morning. Happy Easter. Thanks for being here this morning. Good morning. Good, good. Let's see. I'm going to sit right here. If I sit here, can you look over my shoulder and see the pictures? Can you see the pictures? Yeah? Sit right here, Colton. Okay. This book is called The Mystery of Easter. You want to sit right here? Sit right here.
Buddy.
Yeah. Can you sneak in here? Yeah, here we go. There you go. Perfect. All right. This is the mystery of Easter. You can follow along up there. Don't get distracted by the children. There once was a man who loved big enough to change the world. People knew him. He was in God, and God was in him. Everywhere he went, people would ask him, "What's the best way to live?" This man, whose name was Jesus, would answer, "Love. Love God. Love yourself. Love your neighbor. Love. Even if you fall down and get a skin nose." We're going to talk about that later. Now, there were some people who didn't like what Jesus was teaching. They did not want to be told to love God, love themselves, and love everyone else. It's a very hard thing to love that big. Do those people look happy or mad?
Mad.
They look mad, don't they? Instead of learning this hard thing, they decided to have Jesus killed. This is the hard part of the story. When we tell this part of the story, we always say, this is not the end. The hard part of the story is that Jesus' enemies did not want to learn to love, so they had Jesus killed on a cross. The cross reminds us of a very sad thing. Jesus' friends, the ones who knew that he was in God and God was in him, were very sad. They remembered how they felt when Jesus was around them, like God was with them too. Their hearts were broken. Can you see a broken heart? Yeah. See the broken heart? See the broken heart? Jesus' friends put him in a tomb. Wyatt, come and sit by me. Look at the picture. Jesus' friends put him in a tomb, which was like a cave, and they used a big stone for the door. Then they took some time to cry and hug and try to fix their broken hearts. Do they look sad? Yeah. Later, several of Jesus' friends went to the tomb where he was buried. Sometimes when you're very sad because someone has died, it helps to visit their grave. The tomb was like a grave, and Jesus' friends were very sad. When they got there, they discovered the huge, huge stone that had been blocking the entrance was out of the way. Inside, they saw a man dressed in a white robe who said to them, "Do not be afraid. You're sad, but here is good news. Jesus is alive again." This is a mysterious story. This is a story that changes the cross. It still reminds us of a sad thing, but now it also reminds us of a good, important thing. Now it reminds us that no matter what happens, No matter how hard things are, we are with God, and God is with us. This is the secret to loving God, loving yourself, and loving everyone else. God is always with you and you and you and you and you. God is with you and you. God is with you and you and you. God is with you and you, Mom, and you, children back there. Come this way. Come this way. We don't have godly play this morning, so if you are parents with children, there are coloring pages in the back. You're welcome to sit back there with your children or bring the coloring pages to your seat and enjoy the rest of the service. Thank you, children. Thank you for coming up. choir. This is a time in our service when we share our joys and concerns before God. There are prayer announcements in your program that you can refer to and take with you and pray for throughout the week. I have some of those to add this morning. And after we complete our time of prayer, we share in what some people call the Lord's Prayer, or what I like to call the Disciples' Prayer. And this morning, what's printed in your program is a version from the New Zealand prayer book. But you're invited to pray the Lord's Prayer in the version that you are the most comfortable with, whatever version works for you. I invite you to take a deep breath, to feel with confidence your seat on the seat, your feet planted on the earth, and the earth's care for you. Take another deep breath and feel God's Spirit as close as the air that enters your lungs. Be in a spirit of prayer. On this Easter, as on that very first day, you come, steadfast love, walking with us to discover the good news of the empty grave, so that we can run to tell everyone we meet. On this Easter, as on that very first morning, you wait and watch, light of the morning, as we seek to understand this mystery, which leaves us scratching our heads, until we turn to you for answers and discover all we need to know as you bring the sun to guide our way. On this Easter, as in these first few moments, you whisper to us, Spirit of broken hearts, of love which rolls away fears, of hope which folds grave clothes, of grace which overturns every assumption. On this Easter, as on all days, you are our grace, our hope, our peace, our life, our joy. We ask you to hear now our prayers for those in our hearts and minds, for those printed in our program, and for these we add from our community and beyond prayers for Kate Jones, Pastor Tom's wife and faculty member at Olivet College, for ongoing breathing issues. She's out of the hospital but has received concerning additional diagnosis. Prayers for support, comfort, and encouragement for Kate and Tom. For Sarah Pauline Hart, for things to go faster so Sarah is home before we know it. For prayers for Daryl Baker, who's on hospice care. Prayers for Marcia Henry, mother of Mary's friend Stephanie. Please pray for Marcia's peaceful passing as she is now on hospice. Marcia holds her prayer shawl that was blessed and made by our church. And now in this moment of silence, we bring our concerns before God, for ourselves, for our nearest and dearest, for our community, for our world. And finally, O God, we lift up those for whom no one ever thinks to pray. And now hear our prayers in one voice as we say together the Lord's Prayer in words that are printed in our program or are comfortable for us. Eternal Spirit, earth maker, pain bearer, life giver, source of all that is and shall be, mother and father of us all, loving God, in whom is heaven, the hallowing of your name echoes through the universe. The way of your justice be followed by all the people of the earth. Your heavenly will be done by all created beings. Your commonwealth of peace and freedom sustain our hope and come on earth. With the bread we need for today, feed us. For the hurts we absorb from one another, forgive us. From times of temptation and test, spare us. From the grip of all that is evil, free us. For you reign in the glory of the power that is love, now and forever. Amen. We are always grateful for those who make contributions for the work of this church through mail, through the offering baskets by the entrances, and soon, I just know it, we're going to have electronic giving. And on Easter Sunday morning, last year, we began a funding for two very important ministries in our community. And so this morning, we've asked the people who have benefited, served in those ministries, to come forward and share with us the value of those ministries, the impact of those ministries, so that you can know, as you give this year, how your money benefits the First Church and indeed our broader community. Judy and Amy, you want to come first, and then Adam? I invite you to stand behind the pulpit on the lectern side. That would be great. Thanks.
While Judy comes up, I want to say thank you all for participating in our Links of Love, our paper chain. If you have any to hand in, you may still hand them in. We will be putting that together and presenting it to church soon. Godly Play is our new Sunday school curriculum that is very dear to our hearts.
It is a Montessori-based program with beautiful materials that we have purchased and members of our own congregation made. I'm not done yet, I guess so. That are used to tell stories of the Bible.
These stories are simplified versions that are proportional to the age group of our students. And the lessons can expand, deepen, and evolve as our students grow.
Each lesson ends with questions, I wonder questions. I wonder what part of the story you like best.
I wonder, what part is the most important?
I wonder where you are in the story, or what part of the story is about you.
I wonder, is there any part of the story that we can leave out and still have all the story we need?
While these I wonder questions are wonderful for the children, they're also very good for adults. To encourage ourselves to dive deeper into the meaning from scripture or stories. We now find ourselves thinking of some of those questions when listening to Pastor Jody's sermons or when we read Bible verses, especially the third question, I wonder where you are in this story.
Thank you for supporting
Godly Play. We should have rehearsed that one. Sorry.
Good morning. My name is Adam Drosha. I'm the seminarian in residence, student intern here. I've been doing this since last May. I first want to thank all of you for the support you've put toward my ministry here. It's been Much appreciated. This has been a really refreshing time just in general in my life, being a part of this congregation and a part of this church. Just briefly, I want to give you a little bit of backstory about why I'm here and what I've been doing in the last year or so. I ended up here sort of in a long chain of events as part of my master's program through Northern Seminary in Lisle, Illinois. There was a long period of trying to find a place for me in a different denomination that didn't work out, and then I don't know if you heard, there was a pandemic, and that kind of upset all of my plans, and eventually I just asked the people who were pulling the strings at my seminary if I could look for a church on my own. I had known about First Congregational for a while. I had sat in on one of Kurt's classes probably in 2014 or 2015 a couple of times. And I knew that there was maybe we can just say a shortage of openly inclusive spaces in this community. I've been very fortunate with the church community here, but I knew that I was being called to a place that was a little more open and affirming. And so I reached out to Bruce and Kurt here, and we sat down and we talked about some ideas we could do for outreach. And that's how I ended up here. And it's been wonderful and fruitful for me. A lot of what I do is I focus on my schoolwork. I look at how committees and decisions are made just for the church body, because that's part of my learning experience. And also, I was supposed to have an adjacent ministry that sort of grew out of the church here. The first iteration of that was just supposed to be for people my age who may have felt alienated from church, who weren't sure what they wanted to do with their faith and their religious experience. And that sort of turned into what we call pub theology now, where a small group of us from this church go out into the community, usually at Reedy's Pizza here in town. We talk about spiritual things, we talk about religious ideas, we talk about theological ideas. We switch up our presenters who give a short 10-minute spiel, and then we just open it up for conversations. Jody has already been a part of this. I've done it several times. Kurt has done it a few times. Bruce, while he was still here, did it a few times as well. We've seen a number of you. I want to really thank you for coming out to do that. And we've also had several new friends come to this. Lothar brings several of his teaching friends from over the years, which has been exciting. We've seen some surprise visitors, folks who just saw it up on our social media posts, and it sounded interesting to them. But I think one of the good things about this ministry is that it's in plain view. There's always sort of a fear, I think, in churches that they don't really know how to get out into the community. They don't know how to reach out to those who may still have some interest, but are afraid of going back into a church space. And that's really what this is for, is just to make ourselves visible and to say, the stuffy church folk, we're growing a little bit. We're trying to meet you where you are. And that's just been really fruitful over the last few months. It's been really exciting. We've had some great conversation. And it's really good to hear the perspectives of those who come out. So I just want to thank you for supporting me. I want to thank you for supporting that endeavor. And I'm excited to be here for another year with you all.
That's just a tiny little piece of what this church is doing to reach out to our broader community, to bring God's love to the world. Thank you, Adam, Judy, and Amy, wherever you went, for sharing. And our next hymn, The Strife is O'er, hymn number 242. Please stand as you're comfortable.
Our ancient reading this morning is from Luke chapter 24, verses 1 through 12. Very early on Sunday morning, the women, some of Jesus' followers, went to the tomb, carrying the spices they had prepared. When they found the stone rolled away from the entrance, they went in. But they did not find the body of Jesus, and they did not know what to think. Suddenly, 2 men in shining white clothes stood beside them. The women were afraid and bowed to the ground, but the man said, "Why are you looking in the place of the dead for someone who is alive? Jesus isn't here. He has been raised from the dead. Remember that while he was still in Galilee, he told you, the Son of Man will be handed over to sinners who will nail him to a cross, but 3 days later, he will rise to life." Then they remembered what Jesus had said. Mary Magdalene, Joanna, Mary the mother of James, and some other women were the ones who had gone to the tomb. They returned to the 11 apostles and the others and told them what had happened. The apostles thought it was all nonsense, and they would not believe. But Peter ran to the tomb. When he stooped down and looked in, he saw only the burial clothes. Then he returned to the disciples, wondering what had happened.
Our contemporary reading this morning is a poem by Christian Wyman, and I think it's a poem that really captures the essence of God participating in the human experience, of this feeling of brokenness and this feeling of death that can even pervade parts of our life. It's called Every Riven Thing. God goes belonging to every riven thing he's made. Sing his being simply by being the thing it is. Stone and tree and sky, man who sees and wonders why, God goes. Belonging to every riven thing he's made means a storm of peace. Think of the atoms inside the stone. Think of the man who sits alone, trying to will himself into a stillness where God goes belonging. To every riven thing he's made, there is given one shade, shaped exactly to the thing itself. Under the tree, a darker tree. Under the man, the only man to see, God goes belonging to every riven thing. He's made the things that bring him near, made the mind that makes him go, a part of what man knows, apart from what man knows. That God goes belonging to every riven thing he's made.
You heard that Jesus came out of the tomb. He looked around and went back in. And there's going to be 6 more weeks of Lent or winter. Take your pick. I'm just done with this cold weather, right? Yeah. Yesterday, the children had an Easter egg hunt, and little Wyatt, bless his heart, he was running to find another one of the candy-filled eggs, and he tripped on the curb and hurt his knee. And he got a Band-Aid, and he got a kiss from Daddy, and he giggled. He fell down, and he got up again. These might be the stories of childhood, but I'm guessing that y'all can relate, right? The junior high crush and the broken heart, and the wondering if it'll ever happen again. And we fall down and we get up again. And the job search. You know, we search and it's a It's hectic and it's trying and it's anxiety provoking, and we find the job and then we don't like it. Or the study that we choose, this particular path, and we get down the road and we flunk a class and we're bored to tears and we fall down and we get up again. It's the way of the world. The opportunities to explore this are as close as your life. We have relationships. They get broken. We try to fix them. We worry, we wonder, can my life go on? How will I get to family reunions? How will I be in the same room with that person? How will I negotiate all this? We fall down, we get up again. Ask someone who has suffered the loss of a loved one. Life is over. We don't think we'll ever stop crying. And then there's the friend, the loved one, who comes and sits and brings a meal, and sits and brings a meal, and sits some more, and pretty soon the tears stop flowing and we can take a deep breath. That friend is the power of life. We fall down, we get back up again. Ask the person who's hit rock bottom of that life-sucking addiction. They fall down deep, and they wonder if they'll ever come up again. And life happens, and they live again. The opportunities are as close as your life. How do we think about getting past that facing of death, the facing of the deep hurt and pain? Our culture doesn't approve, right? Our culture says, never let them see you sweat. I don't even know what ad that is, but it's one. Or, on social media, it's all happy. It's all the good news. It's never the hurt or the pain. Our culture is a death-denying culture. But we can't really know life unless we know death. The women came to the tomb because someone had died, their beloved, the one who gave them a place at the table, the one who honored and affirmed them. They weren't just a prop for this one. They came to the tomb to follow the ways of their culture, to anoint the body, to get rid of a little bit of the smell, to make sure that this body was presentable for God. As they walked, they probably had all the concerns. Who's going to roll that big stone away? What if we can't get in? Well, who cares about that? What about all the things he did? And the tears flowed, and they laughed and they cried, and they laughed and they cried some more. They followed death. They went to the tomb to find their beloved dead body. They didn't deny it. They didn't ignore it. They went into it. In the book Quillie's Sideways Grief by Kelly Rhodes Drumler, a porcupine loses a friend. He says to his other friend, "My quills feel heavy." But Quillie doesn't want to talk about it. He gets angry at everyone. One day, Quillie's friend said, "You have sideways grief." It happens when your feelings try to find a way out, but you don't want them to. It's better to face your feelings face on. The women went into death. The past 2 years, we've suffered a lot of loss, whether it's loss of a job, loss of a loved one. I don't know, Adam, COVID was like 30 years. It was not like 2 years, right? We've experienced a lot of loss during that time. The loss of everything that we thought was secure and normal. We can get mad at everything and everyone, or we can face it. We can just think. We lost stuff. We can cry. We can kick something. We can punch the pillow. We can face it and learn from it. It was a wilderness experience. We can move through it and wonder what's available next. We can fall down and we can get up again. The church is changing. Nothing seems the same anymore. One day, a new person sat in the seat where I've been sitting for 30 years. The words that they use now aren't the same as the words they used to use. I'm mad. I'm scared that I don't have a place anymore, that my contribution isn't acknowledged, and I complain and I gossip and I take my money and run. Death is difficult, and that's really what change is, the death of the old ways. We can face our death. We can face the change. We can fall down, and we can get up again. I need a volunteer. I need a volunteer. Yeah. I was hoping you'd say so.
I ran up here just like the children.
That was good. Okay.
You know what?
Yeah.
I
what?
like this church.
You do?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah.
You don't have to leave your mask on for this part.
Okay.
So I need you to be a wall.
I'm good at that.
Can you be a wall? Like
Yes.
immovable. No, you can't lean against anything because you need to stay right here. Okay? I'm going to lean against you. Don't let me fall. Okay? This is a wall, an immovable wall. Oh, that's pretty sturdy. I can lean. Don't let me fall. I can lean against this wall. Yeah, it's a pretty comfortable wall. Yeah, I could even take a nap against this wall. Yeah, it's a good wall. It's a nice. I become dependent on this wall. This is a good, sturdy wall. But here's the thing. If I want to get back to the pulpit, I got to let go of the wall. I can't get there this way while I'm leaning against the wall. I'm stuck. I have to let go of the wall. And now I can walk back to the pulpit. Thank you, Mr. Wall. That wall is like the past. It's like everything that's deadly in our culture. We can lean against it. We can get tied to it. We can get stuck there. But then it's difficult to go to the future. It's difficult to move that way. We have to let go of the wall and see it for what it is. It's a wall. It holds our memories, and they're great memories. It's good to look at and have a good cry, but not if it keeps us from looking at joy. It's a great wall to hold us up when we don't know where we're going. But at some point, the future becomes clear, and we let go of the wall of the past, and we move into the future with joy. That's what the women did. They went into the death. They saw that it was empty. It was meaningless, the death that was there. The guys in the shining robes, the angels, the people, whoever they were, they said, "Why are you looking for the living among the dead?" That's the message of Easter. Now, you may think I'm trivializing this by saying we fall down, we get up again. It is not inconsequential that we fall down and get up again. It is Easter all around us in every moment of our lives. Every time we try to be brave and it doesn't work out and we fall down, we can get up again. Every time we have a hurt or a pain or a failure or a loss, it feels like we're falling down, and we can get up again. That's the power of the Easter message. Not that we won't be afraid, but that death cannot hold us back. Tracy Blackman, who's the Minister of Justice for the United Church of Christ, likes to tell the story about the little boy who on Easter Sunday was going to speak in front of the whole congregation. And the pastor said to the child, "Are you ready?" And the child said, "I'm really afraid." And the pastor said, "Don't worry, you'll be fine." So after the service, of course, the child had spoken and did really well, and the pastor said, "How did you deal with your fear? How did you get rid of it?" And the child said, "I didn't. I did it afraid." Sometimes moving forward is fearful and anxiety-provoking, but we can do it afraid. That's the message of Easter. Death has lost its power. Now, I know sometimes it's hard to see in our own lives, so we need to step back. So I'm going to point to two situations that we're dealing with. Just down the road in the city of Grand Rapids, about 2 miles from Dan and my house, there's a memorial. I don't know if that image has come up yet, but you'll see it. It's a memorial by a tree with some teddy bears and some flowers. It's the place where Patrick Lyoya was stopped for a minor traffic violation, and then after a skirmish was shot execution style by a policeman. How does the Black community, how do people of color face these events over and over and over and over? How do they fall down? How do they get back up again? But they do. They continue to stand in the streets. They continue to confront the injustice. They continue to call out the powers to do what's right, to clean up the injustices. Another example. From World War II to 1991, the Ukraine was owned by Russia. They gained their independence in 1991. And you may have seen, and if you haven't, you'll see up here shortly, the eggs, the painted eggs. They're called pasanki. They're beautiful. You know, we dye eggs, and some people do them really extravagantly, but these are like gorgeous, hand-painted eggs. That tradition in the Ukrainian culture was revived after the Ukraine gained their independence. One person said, "The eggs are fragile, like our culture. It can be broken easily, but we're willing to fight for it." Another noted the myth that goes along with the painting of the eggs. It's the myth of a monster in the Carpathian Mountains. Every time an egg is painted, every line that's painted tightens the chains around the monster. The monster today is the bully across the border, and as they paint, they believe that the chains around the monster are being tightened. That monster's power is not the end. This is the Easter message. Not that we aren't afraid. Don't think that those Ukrainians for a moment aren't afraid. But they live life. They live fully. They face death and they move into the future with the power of Easter, with the power of an empty tomb, with the power of life and love. This is the message of Easter. One of the Midrash stories, Midrash is the compilation of stories that have been told over the years to enhance the biblical story. One of the Midrash stories around Easter is the tale of a soldier who was part of the crew that nailed Jesus to the cross. He came back to Pilate to report on his activity. When he finishes his gruesome tale, the wife of Pilate asks, "Do you think he's really dead then?" To which the soldier replies, "No, I don't." She anxiously asks, "But where is he?" And the soldier replies, "He's been let loose into the world where no one can stop him." Christ is risen. Christ is risen indeed. I invite you to join in the singing of "We Are an Easter People." The words are printed in your program.
Don't forget Easter dinner, and then please join us in our commission. Our church will provide a place and direction for joining with God, healing the broken, and educating youth and adults. We are challenged by our faith to reach out to our congregants, our community, and world family, and to offer opportunities for spiritual growth and renewal. We welcome all into our Christian family. This is our mission as a Church of Jesus Christ.
The coffee hour this morning is not downstairs. It will be right through these doors in the lounge area. Please join us as you're able. And Easter dinner, right? I wonder, say it again. You said something about the Easter dinner. I can't wait? Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how many of you know, but this April, for the first time in 30 years, the Muslims, Jews, Christians, Sikhs, Baha'is, Hindus, Buddhists, and indigenous nations all share their high holy days during this month. That is some Easter power. We are among good people of love and life and dignity and respect. Let's go forth from this place with confidence. And now, people of God, this blessing from Howard Zinn, a saint. We don't have to wait for some grand utopian future. The future is an infinite succession of presents. And to live now as we think human beings should live, in defiance of all that is deadly around us, is itself a marvelous victory. People of God, be in peace. Amen.